Hello everybody, hope you are doing well. With our HIIT classes being reduced in time, I'm now going to demonstrate a comprehensive flexibility flow which you can catch up with over the weekend after our HIIT class. So for section number 1 then, we're going to start by mobilising the hip flexors and stretching the quads. Just before we start, make sure you have a box or a chair nearby for the final stretch. So the first position then will be a runner's lunge. So we're going to take the right leg forward and place both hands inside the right leg and then fully extend the left leg. So make the leg as straight as possible at the knee joint. Can you now square the hips and shoulders to the floor and hold position. Encourage your hips into a posterior tilt. So think about tucking the tailbone between the legs. From here, keep your hands in contact with the floor. Drop the left knee down in a straight line to the floor. Head up, look forward, and drive the hips forward toward the wall in front of you. Make sure you bend the right knee forward as well, and I want you to feel a deeper stretch to the front of the left hip flexor. The little tip here is to make sure you engage your left glute as well. Could you hold this position for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and now come up into the half kneeling hip flexor stretch. Now here you need to really encourage your hips into a posterior tilt. So tuck that tailbone between the legs, squeeze your left butt cheek, look at the angle of my right knee here. Square the hips and shoulders up to the wall in front and hold position. From there, can you place your left hand onto the right thigh, rotate your torso looking over the right shoulder as you keep the stretch on the left hip flexor. Now from here, can you square your shoulders back to the wall in front of you like me, and now rotate again. Square the shoulders back to the wall and rotate. Breathe out as you rotate looking over your shoulder, and now breathe in as you look back at the wall in front of you. We're going to do 5 repetitions, we've done 4. So can you complete one more rep? And now from here, keep the stretch on the hip flexor, interlink the fingers and reach for the ceiling. From here, can you side bend, stretch in the muscle groups to the side of the torso through the obliques, but again, keeping the stretch on the hip flexors. Do not rotate the hips or the shoulders, and keep reaching and stretching those arms up to the ceiling. Can you hold this position for another 3, 2, 1, and slowly come out of your stretch, bring the arms down and ease out of position. This is where you can grab your chair or your box now, okay? So place the box behind you and take your left foot up onto it. Right leg back into the half kneeling position, and again, tuck the tailbone between the legs, and we should be feeling a stretch through the thigh now. Square the hips and shoulders to the wall in front, squeeze the rear glute and hold position. For those of you a bit more flexible here, you can grab hold of the back foot and bring the heel toward the back side. Try and grab the foot with both hands and keep those shoulders square to the wall in front of you. Can you continue to hold this position for a further 10 seconds now? Another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and ease off there. Excellent, so we're going to repeat that flow to the opposite side of the body. So the first position is the runner's lunge. So we're going to take a left leg forward with both hands inside the left leg. Fully extend the right leg now. Square the hips and shoulders to the floor. Encourage your hips into a posterior tilt. Fully extend that right leg, straighten the back of the kneecap and hold position. The progression now is to drop the right knee down in a straight line, keep the hands in contact with the floor. Head up, looking forward. Drive your hips forward to the wall in front. Squeeze your right glute. Again, hold the position. And now we will progress to the half kneeling position, where we're going to focus on really tucking the tailbone between the legs. We're going to maximize that posterior tilt of the pelvis. Going to place the right hand onto the left leg and rotate, looking over the left shoulder, keeping the stretch on your right hip flexor. And now square your shoulders back to the wall in front of you and rotate. Rotate with a breath out. And now take the breath in. Take the breath out as you rotate. And we've done 3 out of 5, so 2 more repetitions. And 1 more rotation. Now from here, can you keep the stretch on the right flexor? Interlink the fingers, reach for the ceiling. Side bend to your left. Do not rotate the hips or the shoulders, and keep stretching and reaching those arms toward the ceiling. Keep the hips in the posterior tilt, squeezing your right glute, and hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly come out of position. And if you need your box, if you bring that behind your right foot, on that left leg back into that half kneeling position. Posterior tilt of the pelvis. Square the hips and shoulders to the wall in front and feel the stretch to the right thigh, the quadricep, and hold position. For those of you a bit more flexible, if you could grab hold of the back foot with both hands and bring the heel to the butt cheek. And can you hold this stretch for a further 10 seconds now? Keep pushing the hips into that posterior tilt. Keep the stretch on the thigh for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly ease off there. And that's section 1, that's our flow for the hip flexors and the quads. Okay, we are ready for section number 2, which will be hinging, stretching the glutes and hamstrings. For some of you, you may want a yoga block, and can you have your box or chair nearby for some of the stretches near the end? So the first position then, we're going to do some hanging. So can you bring your feet nice and close together, and then can you grab hold of the elbows? From here, keeping the legs nice and straight, can you hinge at the hip, keep the forearms nice and close to the legs. Drive the hips up toward the ceiling. Let the arms relax and feel that stretch through the back of the legs. From here, can you just start to rotate your torso to the right and then rotate your torso to the left. Try and take a breath on each rotation. Deep breath in on the transition to breathe out as you rotate. Keep looking back at your thighs. Try your best to relax those arms. Keep rotating. Keep the legs straight. Think about engaging the thighs if you need to, the quadriceps. Can you do 2 more rotations? 1 more time. Now from here, can you come up slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae? And from there, we're going to move to the get set position. So can you have the right knee on the floor with the left leg forward? Bring your fingertips or palms to the ground. And from here, focus on driving the hips toward the ceiling, straightening the front leg until you pick up a stretch on the hamstring. In this case, I've got my left leg forward, feeling the stretch to the left hamstring. Bring the right knee down, and now straighten the leg again until you pick up the stretch on the hamstring. We're going to do 5 repetitions. Breathe out as you feel the stretch. Now breathe in as you return to the start position. 2 more reps. And here we go for the 5th one. And from there, can you change to the opposite leg. Again, fingertips or palms to the ground. Focus on driving the hips to the ceiling, straighten the front leg until you pick up the stretch on the hamstring here. Drop the back knee to the floor, and then return back to the stretch position. Breathe out as you feel the stretch. Breathe in as you come back to the floor. And if you can do 2 more repetitions. And here's the last one now. Bring the back knee to the floor, and from there can you return back to your feet. And now can you take a wide stance, feet parallel, legs nice and wide, keep the legs nice and straight at the knee joint. From here can you hinge at the hip, so you tilt the pelvis forward, you encourage your hips into an anterior tilt, and then can you bring your fingertips, palms or forearms to the ground. From here, can you make sure that you're looking to the wall behind you between your legs. Check those feet are parallel, the legs are fully extended, and you maximise the anterior tilt at the pelvis. So tilt the pelvis forward, tailbone moving back toward the ceiling, or well, the wall or the ceiling behind you. From there, can you push your left arm into the floor, rotate your right arm like I am, hold the position, breathe out. Now take a breath in as you transition to rotate to the opposite side. Can we do that again? So we go for a 3rd rep. Breath in on the transition, breathe out as you rotate. Can you do 2 more rotations? One more time. And from there, can you walk your hands forward and drop your knees into a frog stretch, which I'm demonstrating here. And for the camera, I'm just going to turn to the side now, okay? The knees are nice and wide, and the ankles are as wide as the knees. Drop the forearms to the floor, elbows under shoulder. Encourage your hips into an anterior tilt again, like the previous stretch. From here, can you push your hips back until you feel a stretch through the inner thigh and the groin. Rock forward and repeat. Breathe out as you feel the stretch. Take a breath in as you come out of the stretch position. Continue to move back and forth. If you can do 1 more rep, hold the stretch, and now just gently move those hips side to side like you're wagging your tail. Keep moving side to side. And now pause. Now can you bring your toes together now? So bring your toes to touch each other. Maximise that anterior tilt, and now drive your hips back within reason as far as you can. You might need to bring your forearms back with you because you will move into a deeper stretch. And can you just hold this position now, feeling the stretch to the inner thighs for a further 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly come out, come up onto your hands and bring those knees in. And now can you sit onto your back side? Next position will be the bear sit. So can you take your legs wide, so we want the ankles in line with the knees, and we're going to turn the toes out. So we're going to externally rotate the feet and then rest the forearms to the inside of the knee. Can you pull the belly button in and sit nice and tall? So sit nice and upright and hold position. Can you now think about squeezing your glutes and prise those knees open as if you're trying to touch the floor with the knees until you pick up that stretch through the inner thigh again. From there, to be active, can you move the feet to point up at the ceiling? The knees will come in like mine. Then more importantly, can you go back to the stretch? When you get to the stretch, hold it there, squeeze your glutes, and then go again. Breathe out as you feel the stretch. Then take a breath in. Breathe out as you feel the stretch. Then take a breath in. And then one more time. And hold position. From there, can you come and bring the arms in front? This is really active now. I want you to really engage your glutes and force your knees to the ground. Keep squeezing the butt cheeks really hard. Make sure you're nice and tall through the spine. Pull the belly button in, stay nice and tall, and hold for a further 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. From there, can you just bring your feet back in? Can you now straighten the right leg and turn your attention to the left leg now? So the left leg remains in position like mine, and bring your hands behind your hips. Sit nice and tall. Try not to lean too much onto the hands. From here, we're going to work some internal rotation for the left hip. So we're going to drive the left knee toward the ground, keeping the left bum cheek in contact with the floor. So if you follow me here for this one, so you take that left knee down until you start to feel the stretch through the left hip, and then come back to the start position. And we'll do 5 reps. Breathe out as we drive the knee into, or the leg into internal rotation. And then take that breath in as you come out of position. Can you do a further 2 reps on this left side? Keep that left bum cheek glued to the floor. Stay nice and upright throughout the position. From there, can you now straighten the left leg, bend the right knee. Your toes are facing the ceiling. From here, stay nice and upright through the torso. Glue the right bum cheek to the floor. And let's internally rotate the right leg now, as I am. Take the breath out as you feel the stretch on the right hip. And then a breath in as you come out of position. Again, we'll do 5 reps. So here's the second rep coming up. Can you do 2 more repetitions now? And one more time. And ease off there. We're now going to move into the 90-90 stretch. So can you have the right leg as your lead leg, like mine? Ensure this leg's at 90 degrees and check that the left leg is also at 90 as well. Now, square your shoulders to the wall in front of you, pull the belly button in and try and align the hips. Again, you're going to encourage an anterior tilt of your hip, so drive the tailbone back, tilting the pelvis forward, and then push your right leg very hard into the ground and see if you can pick up a load-in stretching sensation on your right butt cheek. And if you can just hold that position to start with. The position is very active, it's not passive. Before we do any progressions with this right leg, we're actually going to turn our attentions to the left hip and just give this a bit of internal rotation. So can you bring your hands behind you, and it's fine for you to put some weight on your hands like I am, that's absolutely fine, and rotate your belly button and your torso to the wall behind you. Now drive your left bum cheek hard into the floor until you pick up a stretching sensation to the front of this left hip. To make this active, if you watch me closely, you'll see that I'm just going to come out of the rotation and put myself back into the rotation. And when I rotate into the stretch, I'm going to push the left bum cheek toward the ground until I feel that stretch through the left hip. When you feel that stretch, breathe out. And now take a breath in as you come out of the stretch, and then breath out as you go back into it. If you can just do 1 more rep now, and can you hold it this time? For those of you a bit more flexible, you don't need to put as much weight onto the hands. You can be more upright with barely any weight on the hands. Ensure that the left knee here is in line with the left hip. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Can you now transition back into the 90-90 stretch where we started? And we're going to do a few reps now where we place all of our body weight onto the right leg and now lift the left knee off the ground. Do not be distracted by the left leg, the focus is on the right leg. Bring the left knee back to the floor and repeat. We'll do 5 of these ones. Try and push the left knee up as high as you can, as long as you don't lose load on that right leg. So that's 3 down. We're going to breathe out as we lift the left leg. Then take a breath in as it comes down. Can you do one more? And now, can you do a little bit of a strength challenge now? So this is not for everybody. You may need to keep your hands in contact with the floor. If you feel any pinching through that left hip, this progression is not for you. But maximise the load onto the right leg and now bring the arms off the ground and hold for 10 seconds. Drive that right leg hard into the floor. Keep your shoulders square to the wall in front of you and hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands back to the ground. And now can you transition to the other side, and we'll repeat those stretches to the other side of the hip. So first objective, make sure your legs are at 90 on both sides. Put your hips into an anterior tilt and load your left leg into the ground. Now we're going to move to the internal rotation of the right hip by placing some weight onto your hands, rotating your torso round to the wall behind you as much as you can, and now pushing the right bum cheek hard into the floor until you pick up this stretching sensation to the front of the right hip. From there, to make this active, can you come out of the stretch and then put yourself back into the stretch, out of the stretch, into the stretch. Breathe out when you feel the stretch through the hip, and then take a breath in as you transition out. For those of you a bit more flexible here, you don't need to put as much weight onto the hands. You can come more upright. That makes the stretch a bit harder. Ensure that the right knee stays in line with the right hip. Can you do one more rep? And now can you hold the position? Hold it there for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Again, return back to your 90-90 stretch. Press that left leg hard into the ground, load in the left glute, and now actively lift the right knee up off the ground. Within reason as far as you can, now slowly back down and repeat. Keep those shoulders square to the wall in front of you, maximise the load on the left glute. Breathe out as you lift the right leg. Take a breath in as it comes down. You've done 3 out of 5, so 2 more to go. One more rep now. And now to finish this one, it's our optional strength challenge, where you may try and lift the arms off the ground, maximise that load for the left glute and hold for 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and ease off there. Going to the last part of section 2. This is where some of you may need a yoga block, and you will need a box as well. So the setup for this one then, you're going to prop your butt cheeks up onto the yoga block. Have your chair and box in front of you with your legs straddled either side of it like mine. Point the toes forward, and again you're encouraging that anterior tilt of the pelvis. So tilt the pelvis forward, press the back of the knees into the floor, your kneecaps are facing the ceiling. From there, can you place your hands onto your box or chair in front of you? Now if I'm not flexible enough to come down this low, then I can just turn my box up. It's a little bit higher. Again, you could have a higher chair. Okay, so find a position where you can maintain this shape through the back. You should be feeling a stretch through the hamstrings, some activation to the quads. You should not feel any discomfort through the lower back. If you're rounding your back, we're in a bad position. Keep the head up, look forward. Hold this position. Now I can just do a few active reps now, so follow my lead. So we're just going to come out of the position, and now we're going to put ourselves back into the stretch. Engage your quads. You need to squeeze your thighs, push the back of the knees into the floor. Keep the head up, look forward at all times. Do not look at the ground, keep looking forward. Looking at the ground will cause you to round your shoulders. Breathe out every time your hands touch the box in front of you. Breathe in as you return to your start position. Next rep, can you hold yourself on the box like I am? Now we're going to stretch these muscles through the side of your back called the QL. So I'm going to reach for my right foot now. Okay, so I'm reaching towards my right foot. If you can't grab your right foot, then grab somewhere between the knee and the ankle. Can you maximize your rotation? Look how much I'm rotating here. I'm trying to get my left armpit to face the ceiling. And now the left hand moves over toward the right foot. Make sure both bum cheeks stay in contact with the floor, or if you're using the yoga block, keep your bum cheeks on the yoga block. Keep the kneecaps facing the ceiling. Actively squeeze both thighs. When you're ready, can you transition to the other side? So reach toward that left foot. Really rotate. Armpit's going to face the ceiling on this right side and stretch over. Keep the bum cheeks in contact with the floor or the yoga block. Kneecaps facing the ceiling. Engage both thighs. Keep the toes pointing forward. From there, slowly come out of position, and we're just going to flow through that one more time. For the second flow, I'm going to take my bum cheeks off the yoga block. So this will be a bit more challenging for me now because I'm now on the ground. Makes things a bit harder. You're more than welcome to stay up on the yoga block for the second loop as well. So first one then, find the box. Encourage your hips into that anterior tilt. Keep the head up, look forward. We're going to do 5 active reps. Squeeze your thighs. So we come out, back in. That's 1. Take the breath out in your hands. Reach the box in front of you. 2. Keep looking forward. 3. Remember to squeeze your thighs as much as you can. 4. And now here's the last one for 5. Hold yourself on the box, and we're just going to put ourselves through the QL stretches again. So let's reach for that right foot. Maximize that rotation through your torso, and that left arm comes over. Have that left armpit facing the ceiling. Kneecaps facing the ceiling. Glue your bum cheeks to the floor. Squeeze your thighs. Can you now swap to the opposite side? Maximize that rotation and reach the arm across. Glue your bum cheeks to the floor. Press the back of the knees into the ground. Hold the position for 3, 2, 1, and slowly ease off. And well done. That completes section number. Moving on to section number 3 for our spinal flow stretches. So the first position will be the camel stretch. So you want your knees roughly hip width apart with your feet flat to the ground. From here, can you reach back toward your heels? Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Tuck the chin, so slide the head back, looking up toward the ceiling. Now think about lengthening the spine upward, extending the hips, extending the thighs, squeeze the bum cheeks, and hold. For those of you who feel good here and would like to progress, we can take the palms flat to the ground behind. You have to make a real big effort to squeeze the shoulder blades here. Make sure that you tuck the chin still and feel the stretch to the quads, the hip flexors. Lengthening the spine for a further 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and from there, slowly come out of position. The next phase now is to bring the knees and the feet really close together. Still the feet are flat to the ground. And can you sit your backside on onto your heels with your hands in front of you. Try and flatten the front of the ankles to the ground. And for some of you, this may be enough. This is where you're going to hold the stretch. Progressions, we can bring the hands now behind you, placing some weight onto the hands, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Now think about putting your hips into a posterior tilt, so tuck the tailbone between the legs, lengthen the thigh bones. Further progressions here, obviously optional, can be forearms to floor. So forearms coming down, look up toward the ceiling, maximize that posterior tilt of the pelvis, keep your knees close together, lengthen the thigh bones. And then a further progression is to slowly lower the head to the floor. Arms come to the side of the legs. Ramp up that posterior tilt, really focus on that. And continue to lengthen your thigh bones. Think about pushing the knees into the ground. And can you hold the position for a further 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And from there, can you slowly come back up? And we're now going to transition into the upward facing dog. So can you walk your hands forward? Legs fully extended, toes pointing to the wall behind you. Make sure your wrists are directly underneath your shoulders, fully extending the arms. Retract the shoulder blades now, so squeeze the shoulder blades together. Head up, looking forward to up to the top of the wall in front of you. And think about stretching your abdominals. So stretch the abs, press the floor away from you. From there, everybody, can we slowly transition up to the downward dog now? So the downward dog position here is demonstrated. Elevate the shoulders to the ears, pressing the floor away. Press or drive the hips up to the ceiling. Encourage a bit of an anterior tilt. Press the chest back toward the legs. And now finally think about pushing the heels toward the ground until you pick up a stretch through the back of the legs. And can you hold that position? Can you hold for a further 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And can you bring your knees back to the ground? We're now going to do a few progressions, optional progressions. If the progressions aren't for you, could you stick with standard upward dog and downward dog as we've just done? If you want to try the progressions, follow my lead and we'll give them a go. We're actually going to start in the downward dog shape, okay? So can you come back to downward dog, here, and now can you bring your left foot across to the midline and bring your right foot to rest onto the left heel like mine. Now drive the floor away from you by pressing the arms into the ground. Drive the hips up to the ceiling and press the chest back toward the leg. Now push that left heel down toward the ground until you pick up that stretch through that left leg and hold the stretch. From there we're going to transition back to upward dog, but the right leg is going to cross under the body. The left leg should not move from the placement where it is. So take a look where my right leg is here. It's going to cross under the body. I'm going to walk my hands forward and I put myself in the upward dog position. Head up, look forward, wrists under shoulders. Now I'm driving my hips to the wall in front of me. Okay, so I'm encouraging a bit of hip adduction. Should feel a decent stretch coming through the right side of the hip and through the right side of the obliques. Can we hold there for a further 3, 2, 1. Transition back up to the downward dog. And now we need to repeat those stretches on the opposite side. So the right foot now comes to the midline, left toes rest on the right heel. Press the arms into the ground, drive the hips up, chest pressing back toward the legs. Now push the right heel into the floor until you pick up that stretch through the back of the right leg. Hold for a further 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As we transition to upward dog, cross that left leg under the body. Wrists underneath shoulders. Head up looking forward. Press the floor away from you. Drive the left hip to the wall in front of you. Picking up the stretch through the side of the left hip and the left side of the obliques. Hold the position for another 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come out of position and bring both knees to the floor. With the knees close together, can we move into the child pose now? So push the hips back to the heels, press the floor away from you, so make your arms as long as possible, bringing your forehead very close to the ground. Some of you may even be able to rest the forehead on the floor. Hold position. Now keep your hips completely still. Move your right arm out to the side. And now move your left arm over. Make sure your left arm is as long as possible. And now hold position. I want you to move far enough that you feel that stretch through the left side of your lats here, underneath your left armpit. Think about squaring your shoulders to the floor. Push that left armpit toward the ground. That's going to help you gain a stretch to the lats on the left side of your body. From there, can you move both arms to the opposite side? That left arm moves out to the side and stretch that right arm over. And again, push the right armpit toward the ground until you feel the stretch to the lats on the right side. Keeping those hips nice and still in the start position. Can you slowly return your arms back to the child pose and now move forward to our final position, which will be thread the needle. So your knees are about hip width apart, knees directly underneath the hips. Stagger that left arm forward and thread the right arm under the body. Maximize that rotation. Gently rest the head to the floor. Do not compress the neck. If you feel good here, you can progress by raising the left arm up. If you feel there's a lot of weight on the head, when you progress, you need to bring that arm back down and make sure there's some body weight distributed on that left arm. From there, can you hold the position? Keep focused on hips square to the ground. Try not to rotate your hips. You want to rotate your upper back as the hips remain still. When you're ready, can you transition to the other side? Maximize that rotation. Gently rest the head to the floor. And raise the arm up. Again, if there's a lot of weight on the neck, you need to bring that arm back down and regress. Can you hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly come out of the position. And well done. That completes our third section. Now finishing with our fourth and final section, where we will be stretching the shoulders, and for one of the movements you will need a box or a chair again. For the first movement, we are going to promote some arm extension, where we will be stretching the front of the arms and the shoulders. So the setup for this one then is to place the hands directly behind the hips, like mine, with the arms in some external rotation, look where my fingertips are pointing. Head up looking forward, press the floor away from you and engage the triceps and squeeze your shoulder blades together. From there, can you move your shoulders forward like I am? Then more importantly, can you pull them back? Squeeze in the triceps, squeeze in the shoulder blades, move them forward and then move them back. Keep the head up looking forward, keep the torso nice and upright. And can you do one more repetition here? And now can you keep the squeeze on the shoulder blades? To progress the range of motion, can you move your hips forward until you pick up a stretch through the front of the arms and the shoulders. Once you can feel that, straighten the legs in front of you. Keep the head up, look forward, and maximise the squeeze of the shoulder blades. So pinch those shoulder blades together, pull in the shoulders back. Ensure that your hands are around about shoulder width apart, not too wide. For those of you who feel good here and will want a further progression, try raising the legs up. Bring the thighs towards your chest. This will create more load, therefore increasing the stretch to the front of the arms and the shoulders. Keep squeezing your triceps, keep squeezing the shoulder blades, and can you hold for another 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and now can you return your hips back to the start position and slowly move the arms out of position, and you may feel just like shaking your hands and your arms out there. For the second position, can you grab your box or your chair now? We're going to do a modified child pose, which puts a great stretch through the upper back and the shoulders. So can you place your hands onto the box? Could you match my start position, encourage your hips into a posterior tilt. And then from here, can you push your hips back, fully extend the arms. Think about pushing the box away from you. And as you pick up the stretch through the shoulders and the upper back, can you pause and hold? And can you focus now on pulling your belly button in? So suck the belly button in, but maximise that push of the arms. So really press your arms into your chair or your box. From there, can you rock forward, back to the start position, and then more importantly, can we go back into the stretch? Breathe out as you feel the stretch, suck that belly button in as you maximise the length through the arms, and breath in as you return to the start position, and then the breath out as you go back into the stretch. Can you do 2 more repetitions? One more rep. And set. And now we will finish with our third and final position for this section, which is the armbar stretch. So for this one here, can you lie on your front with your right arm directly to the side? If you would like to feel more stretch to the chest, just raise the arm slightly higher to progress that stretch. From here, bring your feet together and rotate directly on to the side of your right hip, and hopefully you will pick up a stretch to the front of your right arm and your right shoulder. The left hand here supports the body weight, so you don't roll back onto your chest. You can hold yourself here, and the more you press your left arm into the floor, pushing your shoulders back to the wall behind you, the more stretch you will feel through the front of that right arm. Optional progressions now. If you bring the left leg behind you and rotate the hips, that will give you more stretch through the front of the right arm and the shoulder. The left arm can now reach up to the ceiling and then back to the wall behind you. Again, you will feel the difference there. And then for those of you who want a further progression, we can bring the right leg into a bit of rotation as well, as I'm demonstrating here, and we can keep that left leg, or left arm, sorry, up in the air and hold. Could everybody hold the stretch now for a further 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then slowly down. And now can we transition to the opposite side? So let's bring that left arm out to the side, rotate directly onto the left side of the hip, bring that right arm in close to the chest, and pick up that stretch to the front of the left arm and shoulder. You can stay in this stretch position, or you can work through the optional progressions. The first one, as you can see now, if you watch the screen, your camera, you can bring that right leg behind you. You can raise that right arm up, That right arm goes up, it's got to reach up toward the ceiling, then back to the wall behind you. And then the third and final progression is to bring that left leg over as well, which again I'm demonstrating now. Whichever position you're in, can you continue to hold for a further 10 seconds? 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly come back down onto your chest. And there we have it, everyone. We've completed section 4. Well done.